Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. I'm here with my good friend Lorna, who I call one of my greatest cheerleaders.
Hi, I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I strive to embrace and enjoy each new phase of life. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
Today, I'm going to tell you all about something that has been on my mind now for months, maybe even a year. And Lorna and I have had lots of conversations about it. And so I want to explain to all of you kind of what it is, and then we're going to share with you our journey with using it. So several months ago, I came across the idea of writing down 3 celebrations every day to wrap up your day. And the idea is to frame every day as a win. And it's really easy for all of us to have a day and then as we're going to bed, think about all of the things we didn't get done and to completely ignore all the things we did. The person that I got this from says that a win is anything that you learned or anything you moved forward. Now, his background is in business and he is speaking to business owners. And so he's very specifically talking about kind of project-y type of work. So what you learned in relation to the project or what you moved forward with your projects. But I have just translated it into personal life stuff. And so in my bullet journal, I have a space so that at the bottom of each day for my weekend view, I can write down 3 wins, at least 3. He calls them wins, but 3 celebrations, 3 wins. And sometimes it looks very much like something that I did, like a task. So getting dinner in the crock pot, at a time that we could then have dinner at a good time. Other times it might look like I chose not to engage in a conversation that was becoming heated and it wasn't necessary for it to keep escalating with the input I would give. So I chose not to engage. So it's not always tasks. It's not always related to my to-do list. So I have shared this with Lorna. I've shared it with other friends and I've even shared it with my kids. So at dinner, I was like, well, what if we try and do these celebrations? So we've done some celebrating. And at one point, I realized that my kids were celebrating in an interesting way. And I just was like, this isn't quite what a celebration is or a win is. And what happened is one of my kids would say something like, well, okay, one win is that it didn't rain today. And so I got to be outside. And then another kid might say, well, another win is that my coach didn't have us run the hill that was muddy. And so I'm hearing these things and I couldn't quite identify what the issue for me was. And then at some time, I realized the thing they were calling wins or the things they were calling celebrations were actually outside of their control. And yet I don't want them not to take note of the good things in their lives that are outside of their control. And so I realized this. I realized that gratitude is something that we can practice and has an amazing power to change our thinking and change our lives. And gratitude has everything to do with things that are outside of our control, but that we can choose to appreciate. On the other hand, wins or celebrations have everything to do with us as people who can act, and everything to do with what we do have control over. And so I talked to my kids about that. And I said, what I'm noticing is that I think that is a gratitude thing. So you are grateful it didn't rain today because it meant you could go outside and not get wet. That is so awesome. I'm glad you noticed that. And then help them see like what a celebration or a win is. So a celebration or a win might look like, you were grateful it hadn't rained, so you went outside and you chose to go knock on your friend's door to see if they could play. And so then you have this awesome day, partially because of something you couldn't control, right? The weather, and partially because of something you could control, asking your friend to play. So that is how I differentiate between gratitude and wins or celebrations. There's lots of words for that. And I have chosen for myself, when I'm practicing both of these things, to really differentiate them. So in the bullet journal for my 3 wins, I really make sure those are things that are in my control and in my power. And then at other places in my bullet journal, I actually use green for gratitude because I like alliteration. And so in green, I can write things that I'm just thankful for. Like I'm thankful that my husband called to see if I needed anything from the store. Or I'm thankful that Lorna was willing to adjust our meeting time today, or whatever. All those things that give me so much pleasure and help me look outward, I can have in another place my bullet journal, and both of them really work well together. So that's kind of the premise that we're entering into the rest of our conversation with today. I want to hear a little bit about Lorna's journey in creating this, because when we talk about it right now, it sounds like, oh, that's just a practice. You just do it. One day you read that thing and then you just did it. And that is absolutely not the case. Lorna, why don't you share kind of how it's evolved, I guess, for you?
Okay. My husband had brought up the idea of 3 wins quite a few years ago. So we have been doing the 3 wins around the dinner table as well. We would just let each child take a turn, and I really loved that because it was helping us see more into our kids' day and some things that maybe wouldn't have come up otherwise that they were able to share. So I love that. But we didn't have the differentiation between the celebration and the wins compared to the gratitude. And so I do feel like it was meshing all the time. And even in my own gratitude, I have been wanting to do lots more gratitude. And I've done gratitude journals in the past, do them for a year or two, and then I stop for a little while, and then I pick them back up. Anyway, I've done gratitude for a long time, off and on, but I haven't been able to differentiate like what you're saying, the celebrations versus the gratitude. And I think both are so helpful. And I really appreciate that differentiation, because a lot of times we want to give credit to God, and he does deserve all the credit. But there's things that we are doing that are helping us realize he is giving us the prompting, or that we can still give ourselves credit. Because I did go out and run, and so celebrate. I went out and ran, and I can be so grateful for my body, right? I mean, there's the difference between a celebration and a gratitude. And I feel like the Lord is absolutely weaved in all of it, but I think it is so helpful to differentiate. And I feel like as we celebrate ourselves doing good things, it helps us want to keep doing good things. It gives us the momentum and propels us in the trajectory to more and more good. Where if we aren't doing that, then we aren't getting that same, like a dopamine hit. It really is what it is it's going to feed us so that we want to do more of that. And one of the things I've talked to clients about is even like holding your shoulder and kind of giving yourself some credit, like, good job, me. When we are doing some of those things, that there's something physical that we can do that also can help reinforce. And then, of course, writing can be so helpful.
I love how you just explained the part of this that you're starting to recognize your own power and contribution to what is happening in your life by differentiating gratitude and the wins and celebrations. And I think that's one of the powerful things, because we could think, well, no, it's all just about gratitude. So I can just say, I'm grateful I was able to go to the store. I'm grateful I was able to run. And that's fine. Like, you can say I'm grateful for those things, but if you can frame it as I am grateful and I did this, then it actually is reminding you that you have power to do.
Yes.
And if we only do the gratitude in this really kind of odd way, this positive thing in our life can actually be feeding a belief that we are powerless. So it's just really incredible, at least for me, as I've differentiated the two, to recognize that it is more motivating because I realize I have power to change what is going on in my life through these actions, while at the same time I can hold that in the hand, and in the other hand I can be holding even just being grateful for myself. I am grateful to myself for making that choice, right? So the same exact thing, like a win, I ran today, gratitude, I am thankful for myself making that choice. And
yes.
you can use both.
I think there's something different in our brain when we can differentiate that both are going to help us, but there is something that will happen in the 2 different ways. Even this morning, I was writing down the differences. So I've been thinking about the differences a lot. When I go to bed, sometimes I'll think about the celebrations. Sometimes I'll think about what I'm thankful for. Sometimes I'll do both. But this morning specifically, I did start with 2 columns on my paper, one with the celebrations and one with the gratitude. And that's exactly what I did. Is I went through and I was grateful that someone invited me to speak in their Relief Society activity. And then on my celebration side, I did it. I presented it. And good job me that I stepped into discomfort and was willing to accept that request. And I'm so thankful God gave me the opportunity, right? So it was just kind of fun to go through my whole list. And I end up with 10 on my celebrations list and 10 on my gratitude list.
Yeah. So I'm imagining what that would have looked like previously, and It really could have looked like one thing. I'm grateful she called to have me do that. Period. Done. At the end. Right.
Yes.
And so this whole exploration of things where you can be so grateful for all the people and to God and to all the things that you had no control over that came together to allow you the opportunity. And then you can also both be grateful for and recognize all the choices you made that led to it. It's so empowering to be like, this is awesome that as things I had no control over came together, I then chose to step into that place and accept it, right? It's almost like you stepped into it to accept the things out of your control to move something forward that was good. I just love that. I wrote it down. I want to try it.
Well, and I think that when we're looking for it, we'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it would also kind of be cool to do a little bit of a trial run. A person could take 3 days and just express gratitude. And then a person could take 3 days and just look for wins. And then a person could take 3 days and be doing both. And then just notice what those things give you or don't give you. I think at the beginning, it can be a little hard to do the differentiation sometimes. At least I know it was for my kids. But over time, they've been able to be like, wait, no, that's more of a gratitude. So I'm thankful for that. I want them to be thankful. And I want them to see where they're making a choice that helps move stuff forward. So that could be a little fun thing too. I'm making a note of that because I might try it. Okay.
I like the idea. Just for me, for my brain, I like to do gratitude is outside of my control. Celebrations is inside my control. I'm the one that went to the grocery store. And I can absolutely say I'm thankful that Heavenly Father gave me the opportunity or the car. They can still be very similar, but there is a difference. I rolled out of bed. Give myself some acknowledgement for that.
It makes me think too of when one is dealing with something like depression or anxiety or something like that. You just mentioned getting out of bed, and it made me think of someone who is in anxiety or in depression that's really affecting them negatively. They can be in a place of like, well, why get out of bed? I'm such a loser because any idiot can get out of bed or whatever. So even when they get out of bed, it's like, yeah, but all I did was get out of bed and I got out of bed at noon. So, well, that's not worth anything. And at least in my perspective, I think that is worth something because you could have chosen to just stay in bed. So you get up at 7 p.m. Okay, but you could have chosen not to get up at all. And I think by shifting, exactly like you said, the focus to gratitude is outside of our control, celebrations or wins are inside our control. It really helps a person recognize that it is okay to celebrate even the things that in the past one would say, but that's just what everybody else does. So why would I celebrate that I did it? So if everyone else talks to the checker at the grocery store, why would I celebrate that I did it? I just have problems that I can't talk to the checker or whatever. It's like, no, you can celebrate that. Anything you do can be celebratory. And going back to the guy who I got this from, his whole point is that a person chooses to frame the day or the presentation or whatever as a win because we can frame it either way. Something can go really horribly, and that's where the learning comes in. So let's say your presentation was like, oh my gosh, everything fell apart. I couldn't remember stuff. I had dry mouth. Like it didn't. But if it had, then stepping out of that, what did I learn? And it can still be framed as a win. I learned I want to have water nearby. I learned that I want to have a backup of some notes in case technology doesn't work. Whatever it is, we can still frame it as a win and as a celebration when we bring in the learning piece. I do love that part of it.
I absolutely agree. And I do feel like it has helped take away the judgment and the self-criticism as I can look at things as a learning opportunity. And really, the truth is, as you're bringing this up, I have presented now for 2 different relief societies. And the first one, I didn't feel it went as well, but that's exactly what I did. I grabbed a few things that I could do differently next time. And then when the opportunity came again, it was like, yeah, I can do that. And I know I want to try it this way and do these couple things. I had a plan because I was able to look at my first experience and look at it from just a place of like neutral ground, just assessing what I would want to do differently. Yep. And I think that made a huge difference for this next time when I did present. So yeah, I love it. And I think there's so many opportunities that we could use as learning opportunities anyway. Made a meal. Oh, maybe next time I want to start a little bit earlier. Maybe next time I want to think about it the night before or whatever. I think there's so many opportunities to use it as a learning experience rather than criticize or judge ourselves for it.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and the celebrations can help as we can kind of piece apart the things that we are doing. Good job, me. I did think about dinner the night before and I liked that and that was helpful. And I want to try that again. It can be all of that too.
Yep. Yeah. I just love it. I just think the idea of celebrating and bringing the positive to the forefront so that we can see it, like making it visible, makes such a difference for all of us. It can really change. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go and try a couple of these things. I wrote down your idea of the columns with gratitude and then the wins. And then I also wrote down the idea that I thought of doing like 3 days of gratitude, 3 days of the celebrations and wins, and then 3 days of both. I want to play with it. It might be fun to see how that goes for me. Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Lorna Adams.
And I'm Amy Rasmussen. See you next week at Moms.